All right, in today's video, we'll be talking about cybersecurity boot camps. I'm going to probably do a couple other videos about traditional education, i.e., a four-year degree, or maybe some graduate certificate programs and certifications as well, in more depth. But I think for this video, just touching on what a cybersecurity boot camp is and kind of the benefits, kind of like an overview, should you or should you not, and where in your career might you be to make that decision. So, a cybersecurity boot camp essentially is a trade school version of cybersecurity. Essentially, you are getting trained on things, tools, skills that are relevant to the job, as updated as the curriculum is. So, that's something to consider. We'll get to that in a little bit, but particularly obviously they're supposed to give you the skills that you'll need to do the job immediately when you finish. And a lot of them, and the ones that you want to be a part of, are the ones that have these career search programs that are going to help you find a career after completing the program, because that's really where you get the bang for your buck, is that you're going to get employment afterwards, and also you're going to have relevant skills. So people who jump into boot camps are essentially people looking to change careers efficiently, as well as people who are kind of confused about what direction they want to go and want to get into something that's not a long commitment but will give you a return, a positive return sooner than later versus a traditional four-year degree. So those could be people that are from the other side of the ball, where they're changing careers. Maybe they're, in their 30s, or they have been working in a certain industry for 10 years and they want to switch and do a smart pivot into a different industry. This could give them some of the skills they would need to go into a job, particularly that align with cybersecurity that they would like. Or if they're maybe coming out of high school and they don't really know about colleges for them, and they want to kind of just get started working and doing something that they're interested in, and looking for an outlet to get that training and those resources available to jump right in, then that might be another option. You could also say, if you're in college and you want to get a crash course in some extra skills, it could be something you supplement as well. It is expensive. All right, most of these boot camps are in the upward range of $10,000+ at least from what I've seen. There's a whole bunch out there, and I'm not going to really go in particular which ones are better than others or anything like that. But I will say that they provide a resource to fill the demand that there is with the low supply, right? So there's a lot of jobs open, and they're looking to fill. This is more of an initiative passed by, worked on by the government and Homeland Security and CISA to produce more professionals in the workforce, so that we can equip our companies, the private sector, the public sector, government, with more skilled workers in this field, because it is in such a high demand, especially with all that has been going on, from the pipeline to all these ransomware gangs, to what happened in the water treatment facility in Florida, to the meat and poultry company. So this is a big threat, especially what's going on in Ukraine. There's a lot of stuff to be worried about in the cyberspace. So they're trying to fill that demand, and these boot camps have popped up as an initiative to satisfy the demand as much as possible. So I think, depending on what it really comes down to when you're making that selection, what point in your career are you? If you are somebody who is looking to make a switch and you have a degree, and this is something you're interested in, I would recommend doing that, going for a boot camp, then versus trying to get another four-year degree. You already have a four-year degree if you're this person, so you already marketable and a hot candidate on the job market, but having this as a fulcrum to swing into this new career uh, is going to be beneficial. So, doing a boot camp for people that are in that position, highly recommend. Um, People that are in college, I would not recommend doing that. If anything, if you're already in college, um, just change your degree plan. And if anything, if you're looking to figure out if this is right for you, hop into Hackbox, hop on YouTube, look for some videos about different careers, get a feel for what it is that they're doing, and understand that, and figure out if that's something you like doing. It's not really worth if you're already. It's not really worth your time if you're already in a 4-year degree program and you're thinking about supplementing with it. And if you have the money, sure, go ahead, but it's not really a wise investment in my personal opinion. If you're coming out of high school and you're figuring out a college or doing the boot camp, you really cannot go completely wrong either way. I feel like the 4-year degree will pay dividends more so later on in life, but the boot camp will get you started sooner. I think the boot camp is, in general, I think its purpose, right? It's a boot camp. It's supposed to be this rugged, fast-paced, harsh learning environment to get you in the industry as fast as possible. It's a good point if you want to jump in and change careers or jump into the industry quickly. It's a good thing to leverage. I think, and I'll talk about this in another video, but degrees help in scaling in the long run. I feel like after a certain point, certifications have a point of diminishing returns. Boot camps can only give you so much of a boost early on, and later on, as you look for higher positions, the degree might be what separates you, and especially when you get into the master degree as well, that'll differentiate you in your journey later in your career. I mean, if you want to stay an engineer and stay technical, maybe not so, but as far as you're getting into leadership roles and you're moving to positions where you're overseeing maybe the corporation or something along those lines, those degrees will have more longevity in being relevant. So that's something to think about. But as far as boot camps are concerned, if you're in high school and you're coming out and you're really passionate and that's something you really want to do, it is a big commitment. So like even college is a big commitment, but just be sure, look at, like I said, look up on YouTube, some YouTube videos and figure out, the industry a little bit and figure out what would be, if it at all would be interesting to you in this career, because there are a lot of different flavors and there's a lot of different stuff you can get into. I would say for the boot camps, you want to find something that is going to be comprehensive and relevant. All right. You don't want to be jumping into something that's not up to date on their course material. Like, you don't want to be going into a program that is dealing with 2012, or 2008 Windows Server where you're learning. All that stuff's deprecated. It's legacy. Everybody's moving into 26, has moved to 2016, or they're moving to 2019, or they're moving to cloud. So that's not really relevant. You don't really want to be working at a company anyway that has a lot of legacy. And if you do end up working at a company that has a lot of legacy as maybe a starting point, it'll be just a transition to the new stuff. So I would say you're better off trying to learn the newer things and aid those companies than trying to learn the old stuff as they're transitioning, because then you're not as useful to them, if that makes sense. But you want to make sure the course content is relevant. And like I said, go on YouTube and figure out, hey, what's going on in the industry, look through news outlets, figure out what's people are working with, what's the latest technologies, look at, whatever intelligence is out there about the latest trends in tech and solutions and vendors and things like that, and what's being utilized out there. If you even go on LinkedIn and you follow some of these, CEOs or CISOs or CIOs, and they're or CTOs, they're posting different stuff about different technologies they might be using, or sharing those things. Or their company might have kind of give you some idea what they do and their approach. So those are some things you want to look at before even making that decision. You also want to make sure that at the very least, because some of these boot camps will boast like, oh, you can pass your XYZ certification from taking this boot camp, but they don't provide you the vouchers to go ahead and take them. They don't back up their talk. So I would stay clear of those. You should go somewhere that's going to give you at least a voucher to make it worth your while, because there's no point in learning all this stuff. I mean, there is a point to learn it, but there is no point to really put the investment if you're not getting the biggest bang for your buck, is more where I'm going with this. So you want to be able to have relevant course content. That's one. For the price point you're paying. You also want it to be a good environment. Okay, you want to make sure that you have the resources available to succeed in that environment. So you want to have people that are going to ensure that you're going to class, you're getting your things turned in. You want to have good instructors that have good experience and good advice, because that's something that is important about these boot camps. There's a lot of industry professionals that work in these boot camps, and there's just as many as that are good as there are bad. So you want to make sure you're getting your worth as far as someone that's going to give you good experience, examples, help, advice, resources. And then you want to have a good tutoring outlet in these boot camps. You want to have a good platform to navigate. You want to have relevant course content, like I mentioned again and again. Relevant course content is probably the most important, because these boot camps are supposed to train you and give you the skills to jump into the workforce. So if that's not relevant, then what's the point? And then you want something that's going to provide you a voucher. You're going to learn all these skills. Obviously, they're not teaching you to pass certification, but they are putting their foot out, their hand out. They're sending this olive branch out to you, saying like, hey, look, we want you to get your break in the industry. We're going to give you a bunch of tools. We're going to give you a bunch of skill sets. We're going to give you some information to help you pass one of these certifications that you could possibly take with this voucher. But it's ultimately up to you, which is expected of you anyway in the industry. But they're showing that good faith and extending that. So I think when you think of boot camp, those are the three things you kind of want to make sure: the environment or atmosphere is up to par, the course content is relevant, and that they're going to provide a voucher. And also, I think fourthly, you could add is irrelevant to what you want to do, because there's some different ones that that will go over hacking or red team or blue team stuff, right? You want to pick something that's going to be more aligned to you, and some of them will be more job specific. What everything you need to know to be a kind of a cybersecurity engineer or an analyst position, or if you're trying to be a software developer or a scripter type deal. They have coding boot camps, right? Things like that. So there's things to consider. I will be doing some other videos on maybe traditional 4-year degree and what you want to look for. But I think in general, cybersecurity boot camps are good if you are getting out of high school and you want to start quick and you're not really too sure about college and that commitment, and you want to just get in the industry and you're passionate about this. That's a good way to go. If you are late in your career and you want to make a change and you have your 4-year degree, or maybe if you necessarily don't have your 4-year degree, you can still make a pivot. This is a kind of like a Hail Mary last resort option that will get you a job. If you're in college, it's not really worth your time unless you just have money to blow. And like I said, you want to look for environment. You want to look for relevancy. You want to make sure it aligns with your objectives, and that they have a voucher there for you. So that's kind of all I have for today. And when you make that decision, just make sure you are confident and those things are kind of checked off.